Hey guys, it's Scott here and welcome to the big one. My Premier League predictions for the upcoming season that starts tonight. Today I'm going to go through my rankings from bottom to top and then a few additional things such as top goal scorer, top assists, etc. So if you do enjoy this one, make sure you hit the thumbs up button as it is massively helping out this channel right now, which is starting off really well. We only started this like a week ago and we've got a load of new people on here already. So if you are also new, you enjoy the vibe here, make sure you hit subscribe. We're going to be doing loads and loads of football content throughout the season, regardless of whether it's Leicester, Premier League, or whatever. There's going to be a lot talked about. And also, if you want to go and see me stream and play games as well, then you can go and follow the Twitch channel. Links will be down below. But I guess, without further ado, let's finally get into my Premier League predictions for the 21-22 season. Bottom, I'm putting Watford. I really just don't think that they have what it takes to stay up this season. And yeah, I feel like this is going to be a pretty common one, to be honest with you. Putting them in the bottom three specifically is going to be huge for a lot of people. Next, we're going to move up to the next position. And unfortunately, I'm going to be a little bit boring and put another promoted team in there. I'm going to go with Brentford because, again, Tony, maybe he'll smash it in the Premier League. But it feels like that is what they are relying on in order to do well. 18th. Maybe a little bit controversial. I'm finally dropping Burnley out of this league. I feel like their luck is finally going to run out. They're not making the investments and recruitment that they need to. And surely they can't just keep just about staying in. What that does mean, though, is that I am keeping one of the promoted teams up. And that is going to be Norwich. Now, is this just because I want to mix things up a little bit? Maybe. But I have a little bit of faith in Norwich this time round that they'll do a bit better than last time. Then we move on to Brighton. I feel like Brighton are just that team that, again, a bit like Burnley, they keep just staying up. Every season I predict them to go down, but they're doing okay. It looks like they're going to keep Basuma, which is huge for them. And when they get a couple of players back from injury like Lamptey, that'll be big. Next, I'm going to go with Palace. Palace just don't really impress me that much. Eze is out for a couple of months to start the season. I think they'll do okay, but they won't get relegated. And then we move on to Southampton. Now, a lot of people are putting Southampton way further down than this because they're losing players. However, they did just bring in Adam Armstrong, which is not quite Danny Ings level, but it is still a decent replacement. And so I think they'll do okay. I like Hasenhüttl as well. I think he's a very good manager. Next, I'm going to go Newcastle. Now, I don't really want to put them this high in the table, but I didn't really know where else to fit them in. If St. Maximin stays fit, they finish above 13th. I think it's as simple as that. He's so good and is key to everything they're trying to do. Next, I'm going to go with Wolves. I just don't really know how it's going to go with the new manager. Obviously, losing Nuno. They do have Jimenez back, which could be massive for them. However, is he going to play to the heights that he did before, especially if he's got to wear stuff on his head when he was so good in the air? I can't see it happening. So they're a little bit lower than I'd expect. West Ham, I'm putting in 11th. I think that the loss of Lingard, which doesn't look like they're getting him back. Additional Europa League games. I think they're going to struggle. A bit like my Leicester prediction last season. Maybe they'll outperform it like we did. Next up, we're going to go with Villa. Whilst they have got Ings, Buendia and Bailey, Grealish was so good for them. I just don't think they're going to do outrageously well. But I think they'll do okay. They'll get top half. Everton, Benitez doesn't inspire me when it comes to Everton, and I really don't think that they're going to reach the heights that they could do under Carlo, especially as James Rodriguez wants out, and he could be that linchpin that makes everything happen. So there you go. I'm going to put Leeds in 8th. They were really impressive and entertaining last season, and I feel like they're going to kick on and just continue to do that this season. So 8th for Leeds. I'm going to go with Arsenal in 7th. Now, I very nearly flipped these two, to be honest with you. I just think that surely there's no way that Arsenal can have as poor a season as last year. Surely Aubameyang's got to do better this year than he did last year. I have blind faith for some reason in them. Now I'm going to put us 6th. Now, this is the highest that I've predicted us in quite a while, I believe. Probably ever. And I just think that with our additions, we've made some very good signings. We're potentially going to sign a right winger as well. We dealt with Europa League last year. I think we can push for top 6 again, and I think we're better than Arsenal as it stands. Spurs I'm going to put 5th because, again, I feel like they're just going to do a little bit better than previous. And I don't think they're going to have as much of a topsy-turvy season. However, if they lose Harry Kane, I'm flipping us and Spurs. Man U I'm putting fourth. Now, my top four, I don't even know what order to put these in. So I'm going to go with Man U fourth because I still think that they need that defensive midfielder that it doesn't look like they're going to sign to really push on to try and win the league. Liverpool I'm putting third because they still haven't got that player in Firmino's position that unless he travels back like 3 or 4 years, they're missing something there. And yes, they get Van Dijk and everyone back, but I just don't think it'll make enough of a difference. Chelsea looked monstrous under Tuchel, and with Lukaku as an addition, that is huge. So I think they're really going to push all the way. But obviously, as you can tell, my league winners are going to be Manchester City. And this is without Harry Kane, okay? We're assuming that he is not signing in this prediction. I think that they're still just going to be too good. And if they do get Kane, I don't think it'll be close. I'd be amazed if anyone gets within 10, 15 points of them if they get Harry Kane. So those are my predictions for this year. I would love to know your thoughts. Some people are probably going to get very upset at where I put people in the league, etc. We will revisit this at the end of the season and see how badly I did or how well I did. Here's hoping that your team does better than I've predicted, unless you're a Man City fan, I guess. But I don't know. It's always a controversial subject doing Premier League predictions because a lot of fans think that their team will do much better than they will, even though they just aren't factoring everything in. It's why I'm realistic with Leicester's expectations. I'm not going to put us in the top 4, even though we've spent the majority of the last 2 seasons in there, because we're not at that level yet. And the fact that we've fallen off twice in a row means I don't think I can put us up there. So I think 6th is reasonable for us, for example. And I think the top 4 is very hard to judge with the signings that have been made. Relegation is always hard. That middle section of the table, you could have like 3 points separating 12th and 17th. It's so hard to predict, but as I say, we'll review it at the end of the season, and now what we'll do is we'll get into the other categories such as Golden Boot. First up, Golden Boot. Now, the only reason why I'm not saying Harry Kane is because I don't know if he'll go to Man City yet. If he does, I think that is a nailed on one. However, because of the uncertainty, and because I still think he will do really well regardless of what happens with Kane, I'm going to go with Lukaku this season. Chelsea are looking so good under Tuchel, and Timo just wasn't firing last season for them. Maybe he'll do better playing on the left side this season, feeding into Lukaku, Havertz, etc. But I think that big, strong, powerful, determined striker is what they missed to really push. I know they still won the Champions League, which is insane, but Lukaku, I think, is going to smash it, so he's my Golden Boot winner. However, we are going to go back to Manchester for top assists. I'm going to go with De Bruyne. I mean, it's a really obvious pick. I know it's a little bit boring. We'll go a little bit more out there with some of the other picks, but he's just so good. And again, regardless of whether they get Kane or not, De Bruyne just gets assists. He gets goals. He's that good of a player that it doesn't really matter who's playing around him. His vision and everything is so good, he will get assists. I'm going with him. Golden Glove, though, I'm going back the other way. I'm going to go for Mendy. I feel like I have more faith in Chelsea's defence and everything that goes along with that, like the solidity, than I do with Man City. Now, don't get me wrong. Ruben Dias and John Stones formed a formidable partnership last year. However, the way that Tuchel sets up his team compared to Pep, I have more faith in clean sheets at Chelsea than I do in Manchester City. So I'm going Mendy Golden Glove. Player of the Year. We're going back to a player we've already mentioned. I'm going to go with KDB. I think that once he gets back from his injury, if he stays fit for the whole season, he's probably the best player that there is in the Premier League right now. Right? So I'm going to go with him, and I feel like he's going to absolutely smash it. The one that I was very close to picking, though, was Mo Salah. I think he's going to have a really good season because Liverpool's centre-backs are going to be back fit, which means Trent is going to have a bit more freedom to go forward, have that link up with Salah again. I think he's going to have a real good shout, but I'm going to stick with my guns and go with KDB. Now, Young Player of the Year might be a little bit more controversial. I like to sort of put one out there, really, with Young Player of the Year. Like last year, I took an absolute punt, and I think I went with like Zinchenko or someone, just in case you come across as the absolute genius big brain guy with 500 IQ at the end of the season. This year I'm not going to go as bold, but I am going to go with one that maybe not as many people are going to pick. I'm going to go with Havertz. I think that last season was a bit of acclimatization for him in the Premier League. He's really shown under Tuchel that he is a bit more of a player than we were seeing under Frank, and he's going to be involved this season. He's got Lukaku ahead of him. If he's going to be playing week in, week out, which it looks like he is, especially with the Ziyech injury and the inconsistencies of Werner, etc., Pulisic, I think Havertz is going to have his breakthrough Premier League season this year. So I'm going with him, Young Player of the Year. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Now we've got two more, best signing and biggest flop. Now, best signing, I'm going with Lukaku, unless Harry Kane signs. But again, at the time of recording, the season starts today. Harry Kane has not signed for Manchester City. I'm going with Lukaku. I feel like, as I said with the Golden Boot explanation, he is the big thing that could push them to potentially go and win the league, or at least push City very, very close. So I think Lukaku is a massive game changer. People like Varane could be huge from Man United, etc., but Lukaku is my answer to this one. And then the biggest flop to end things off. I don't really know who to go for this one, because I feel like a lot of the big signings fit what these teams have needed, and because of their performances in other leagues and everything like that, I don't see why they wouldn't do well. I feel like it would be hard to sort of take a punt and say, for example, Sancho, he's going to do terrible, because why would he? He's such a good player. So I genuinely don't have a proper answer for the biggest flop. Now, I know some of you guys in the comments are going to go big and you'll say, oh, Varane, Grealish, etc. I don't see it happening. So I think, just for the banter, we'll go with Damari Gray, because I genuinely can't think of a proper answer to go for this question. So those are all of my thoughts for this season. Let me know your Premier League predictions in the comment section down below, as well as your predictions for all of these other things. Like, if you want to write it in a list format, we'll come back at the end of the season and we'll see who got the most stuff right. Let's say you get a point for every thing that you get correct, something like that. We'll figure it out at the end of the season, and maybe I'll give a prize out if someone absolutely nails a load of these shouts. But those are mine. I know you guys have been anticipating it, and I know that there's going to be a lot of controversy in the comments. A lot of arguments are going to be caused, but what can you do? That's what the Premier League brings to you. So I hope that I'm going to see you throughout the year on the channel, and hope that some of these predictions turn out to be accurate, and hope that other ones turn to be wrong and we win the Premier League. That would be pretty good, wouldn't it? So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you all. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you later for my Game Week 1 match predictions. Goodbye.